Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and this is the latest full-length LP from New York-based singer-songwriter Sharon Van Etten. Are we there? This is Sharon's latest full-length LP since breaking out in 2009 with her album Epic on Bada Bing Records. And even though Sharon has brought on a lot of instrumentation and guest musicians and producers since her early days of lo-fi, just her and her just self-recorded tapes, there's been a lot of change, but Sharon's foundational songwriting style has been pretty unwavering. Slow, dramatic, indie rock and folk tunes where Sharon's voice really just steals the show, takes the reins. In modern singer-songwriterdom, Sharon is one of my favorite voices, and for whatever reason on this LP, much more than on her previous two, she's reminding me a lot more of Joni Mitchell. In a good way. Unlike some other singer-songwriters out there, Sharon's music isn't really catchy or upbeat or hooky. I would actually even say this is her least catchy album yet since coming out with Epic. Are We There really demands patience and takes its time. It is a slow burner. It is the slow burner of slow burners. Not only because a lot of the songs here work at a very slow or mid-pace, but it's also because of how elongated a lot of the instrumentation on this record is. Nothing really punctuates these songs in a really rhythmic way. Everything just seems to be droning on and moving very glacially and ringing out. And I would not call this record doomy or shoegazy or experimental like that, but the layered and very instrumentation does set a very gloomy tone. To me, it's like I'm listening to a National record. I would actually recommend this album to somebody who was a fan of the National. I think the instrumentation is a little bit brighter, and personally, I find the singing to be much more engaging. Mostly because I find Sharon's voice to be so powerful, so emotive, so passionate. Now, this very slow songwriting style is something that Sharon has been honing for years now. However, I am not as drawn to it as I am her melody writing, her songwriting, her lyrics, and her vocals. The slow instrumentation on this record, I think, works in Sharon's favor on a lot of tracks here, like Taking Chances. It's also one of the few tracks on this LP where Sharon takes keyboards and drum machines and really puts them at the forefront of the song, sounding like Beach House occasionally. And I really feel like this track and others on here is really an attempt at changing up Sharon's sonic palette a bit. But despite this change, this little bit of window dressing, Sharon's songwriting style pretty much remains, and she delivers one of the most emotionally crushing choruses on this entire LP. I not only love just how heavy the drums are at this point in the song, how wonderful Sharon's singing is at this point in the song, but I love the rhythm guitar on this track too, just really crunchy, cutting through all the instrumentation and just skipping on the groove. The song Your Love Is Killing Me moves at this really glacial 3/4 time signature, at least that's how I read it, and it's like galloping in slow motion as Sharon calls out in her lyrics all these ways that she could be prevented from chasing after this person whose love is essentially killing her, just have her legs broken so that she can't run after this person. Extreme, but Sharon delivers these lyrics beautifully and with a lot of heart and, again, that very powerful voice. The closing track on here lets loose a little bit lyrically, Sharon talking about how people are accusing her of being a one-hit wonder, she's doing dishes, she's shitting in someone's bathroom. It's got one of the sweeter choruses on the LP. It's just really warm, it's really rootsy. It really does paint that picture of the sun coming up, but then Sharon talking about being in trouble on this chorus as well. Can't let things get too warm, have to remind people that they're kind of dreary too, I suppose. There's a good handful of tracks on this LP that I really love for their slow pace, for their moody attitude, but all too often I think the instrumentation on this record, because of its very slow pace and because of how the guitars, the keys, etc. drones on rather than hitting a really strong rhythm, the record sounds kind of syrupy, formless, kind of undefined. There are at least a few tracks on here where I think the instrumentation turns into this flavorless mass that masks the song more than it does enhance it. Songs like You Know Me Well and Break Me. Tracks that have great vocal melodies and good choruses, but man, does the instrumentation just get mundane and the verses are just completely unmemorable to me. And I feel the same way about the opening track on here to a degree as well. Tracks like Nothing Will Change become a welcome change of pace instrumentally, not just because there are some really nice woodwinds on this track, but because the instrumentation overall isn't so heavy, it's not so overbearing, it's not droning me into semi-boredom. And as a result, just the overall tone of the song, and Sharon's vocals too, are really soft, they're gentle, they're intimate, they seduce me musically. The track Tarifa on here is great for a lot of the same reasons, but features horns rather than woodwinds. However, not every stripped back moment on this record is a total winner. For one, there are 2 piano ballads on here, which completely stun me in that they aren't 2 of the more gripping songs on the record, considering that Sharon really built a name for herself on just her vocals and her guitar. Overall, I liked this record, but once again, I didn't love it. I'm still sticking with Sharon. I'm still looking forward to what she's doing in the future, considering that still, even on this LP, she delivers at least a handful of songs that I think are fantastic, that I love. Easily Taking Chances is one of her best songs, and one of the better songs of this year. But still, I think she allows her instrumentation to either get the best of her by covering her up a little bit, or just not being that interesting of a foundation. Of course, there are tracks on here where the instrumentation feels well arranged, but there are so many spots here where it feels really too bland to be all that gripping. I'm feeling a strong 6 on this record. Transition, if you've given this LP a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Sharon Van Etten, forever.